Welcome to Know Your Mobile. I'm Basil. This is a Google Nexus 4 on my right, and to the left-hand side is the Sony Xperia Z. The Sony Xperia Z is Sony's latest flagship. The Google Nexus 4 is Google's Android flagship, and we're here to compare the two for you. Kicking off with design, and the Xperia Z is much more angular. It looks kind of like a TV, a Sony TV to be precise, and that's because it's the first Sony phone to come out of Sony's design labs and not Sony Ericsson's shared design minds. Indeed, this definitely shows. There are a few omissions, such as a physical camera key, which we do miss. However, we're very glad to see that Sony have managed to weatherproof this entire device. It's submergible in water for up to 30 minutes, making it water resistant, and it's dust resistant too. It also doesn't look half bad. You've got a glass front and back, and it's dragon tail glass. This means it's 6 times stronger than Corning's Gorilla Glass 2, which is what you find on the front of the Google Nexus 4. The Google Nexus 4 backing, however, don't believe is Gorilla Glass. And so that's one thing that the Sony Xperia Z does have over the Google Nexus 4. The Sony Xperia Z also fits very nicely in the hand, and thanks to the positioning of the power key on the right hand side is very easy to press. It's all been very thought through. All the ports are under flaps thanks to the weatherproofing, so that could prove irksome for some. However, we didn't mind, given we'd rather a phone that works when we dropped it into the toilet than having to undo these flaps every now and then. So we're really impressed overall. Even if the design isn't quite as ergonomic as the Google Nexus 4, it doesn't sit quite as well in the hand because it's not as curvaceous on the backing, it's not as soft on the corners. It's still something very elegant and functional. The screen on the Sony Xperia Z is also 1080p resolution. It packs Sony's Mobile Bravia Engine 2, and it's also endowed with a technology called Omni Contrast, or something to that effect. What that means is you're going to get better blacks on an LCD display, which is all you can really ask for. The LCD displays generally provide very good whites, and that's what you can expect on both these devices, so both are perfect for web browsing. The 720p display on the Google Nexus 4 cannot compete, unfortunately. However, at 4.7 inches with a resolution of 720p still looks sensational. The pixel density, for anyone who's curious, on the Sony Xperia Z is 433, we do believe, or 443. So thereabouts, it's going to be pretty flawless. Text is going to look super crisp, and reading on it is going to be an absolute pleasure. As far as the user interface goes, both pack Android Jelly Bean. The Google Nexus 4 has stock version of Jelly Bean. The Sony Xperia Z has a customized version by Sony. Has a host of neat widgets, for example, that you can pull out, and there's also a power saver mode that really makes it stand out from the crowd. If we jump into power settings, or as power management, it's called stamina mode, and it gives you an additional 10 times battery life, apparently, according to Sony. Stock Android doesn't have any of those. However, it does have the latest version of Android all the time. You can 2-finger swipe down will pull down quick settings, 1-finger swipe down will pull down notifications. There are a host of really nice customizations Google have made to the UI, and it all looks very slick. It certainly doesn't look any worse than Sony's customized version of Android. So well done, Google, there. It's going to be up to you which one you prefer. If you like a lot of apps on your phone out of the box, don't like installing too many, you may want to opt for the Sony. However, if you're more a fan of stock Android and getting all your own apps from the Google Play Store, then it's a much cheaper Nexus 4. In addition to that, Sony's customizations do mean, and indeed the 1080p screen resolution, mean that you're going to put additional power, additional pressure on the processor, so we can expect down the line for the Google Nexus 4's performance to be that little bit better, given they both have 1.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processors. If you look at the cameras on both devices, the Google Nexus 4 packs an 8-megapixel sensor, Sony sensor. The Sony Xperia Z packs a next generation Sony Exmor RS sensor, that's 13 megapixels. The shooting modes are also far superior on the Sony Xperia Z. Google have made a few really neat customizations to their camera, don't get us wrong. A long press gives you a whole host of options that you can toggle with just one finger, which is really intuitive. However, Sony have gone that extra mile, taking all their camera credentials and putting some of that know-how into their phones. You've got a whole host of shooting modes. Intelligent Audio manages to make all the decisions for you. Normal mode gives you a very customizable experience where you can tweak the bejesus out of your phone. You've also got burst mode, that's 10 frame per second burst mode, which captures very, very fast images. That's even superior to the Galaxy Note 2, which is 6 frames per second. And you've got these creative shooting modes, such as nostalgic miniature, vivid, filter, fisheye sketch, partial color, Harris shutter, and kaleidoscope. All very, very great for any creative shooters out there. As far as video goes, both capture 1080p video. However, the Sony Xperia Z is going to again better the Google Nexus 4 by capturing 1080p video with HDR mode. For anyone who doesn't know, HDR is high dynamic range. It captures a wider tonal range and makes videos and photos look that bit better when in high contrast scenarios. Now moving on to memory, and both devices pack 16 gigabytes. You can get the Google Nexus 4 in 8 gigabytes. However, the Google Nexus 4 isn't expandable and the Sony Xperia Z is expandable via the micro SD card slot located on the left-hand side. Battery life on both devices is quite comparable given the screens. So the Google Nexus 4 packs a 2100 mAh battery, whereas the Sony Xperia Z packs a 2400 mAh battery. The largest, higher resolution screen, however, will sap it a little bit more. We haven't put it through any tests, but we're going to guess that that's the case, as is what we did with the processor when we guessed that it will put a little bit more strain on it. You'll have to wait for our full review to see how the battery goes, and indeed you'll have to wait for the full review to learn any more about how this device fares, especially when you compare it to such great devices like the Google Nexus 4. If you want a stock Android experience, if you want a cheap phone, then the Google Nexus 4 is all for you. It is the best phone you can get out there for under £300. If you want something a little bit more premium, weather resistant, if you're clumsy, if you're prone to dropping your phone in the bath, toilet, or sink, or like going out shooting photos using your phone in the rain, then there is really no other flagship out there that can compete with the Sony Xperia Z. Thanks for watching Know Your Mobile. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and if you've got any questions, just fire us a comment below.